أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. عبست وجوه القوم خوف الموت والعباس فيهم ضاحك يتبسم. عبست وجوه القوم خوف الموت والعباس فيهم ضاحك يتبسم. قلب اليمين على الشمال وغاص في الأوساط يتقطف النفوس ويحطمون. بطل تورث من أبيه شجاعة فيها أنوف بني الضلالة ترغم قسما بصارمه الصقيل، وإنني في غير صاعقة السماء لا أقسم لولا القضاء لمح الوجود بسيفه. والله يقضي ما يشاء ويحكم فهوى بجنب العلقم فليته للشاربين به يداف العلقم علقم. فمشى لمصرعه الحسين وطرفه بين الخيام وبينه متقسم. فأكب منحنيا عليه ودمعه صبغ البسيط كأنما هو عن لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Let's have another salawat لأم المصائب زينب عليه السلام. And a third and last one for the love of Al-Abbas alayhi salam in your loudest voices. Tonight is the sacred night of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the 7th night of Ashura. The night where we remember this figure that showed what it meant to be a brother, exemplified loyalty, showed us what the essence of love looked like if it showed itself in a man in human form. Al-Abbas alayhi salam was like no other. Al-Abbas alayhi salam attacked like no other man attacked. Al-Abbas alayhi salam stood like no other man stood. He spoke like no other man spoke. Al-Abbas alayhi salam exemplified many traits. In many instances in Karbala and in Ashura, you see Al-Abbas alayhi salam exemplifying humanitarian traits. One of these instances strikes me as a reader and strikes each and every one of us when we watch and we learn what Al-Abbas alayhi salam did in Ashura. This instance is what happened here, so listen. It is said the uncle of Al-Abbas, his name is Abdullah. He is the brother of al-Baneen. He has ties with Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. He goes to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad before the actual battle takes place and he says, write a letter to Al-Abbas and his brothers, telling them not to fight and telling them to leave the army of Yazid or leave the army of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, and if they do so, they will be protected. And if they do so, they will be protected. So the slave takes the letter. Ubaydullah bin Ziyad agrees. He takes the letter, he brings it to Abbas alayhi salam. Abbas opens the letter. He reads what's inside the letter and he looks at the slave and he says to him, send my uncle my salutations, my salam. And tell him that the protection of God is greater than the protection of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. In another instance, the night of the 10th of Muharram, Shimr ibn al-Jawshan comes close to the camp of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. He stands on a hill and he screams in his loudest voice. He says, where are the sons of our sister? Because Shimr ibn al-Jawshan came from the same tribe as al-Baneen, who was the mother of Al-Abbas. So he screams, where are the children? Where are the sons of our sister? Abbas alayhi salam comes out with his 4 brothers. And Shimr says, Abbas, you are from our tribe. You are the son of our sister. We're going to give you protection. Just leave the camp of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Listen to what Al-Abbas says. Al-Abbas looks at him and he says, may God curse you and the protection that you're going to give me. You're going to give me protection being the son of your sister. But the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has no protector. Does it make sense? Al-Abbas alayhi salam didn't give in to the pressure, knowing that a day from now his hands are going to fall on the ground and his head is going to be split open and the eye that he's looking at Shimr with will be pierced with an arrow. He knew that his life will end on the Euphrates River, and he knew he would go down into the water and he'd have the water close to his mouth and throw it away, and he would die thirsty for the thirst of the children in the camps. He knew all of this was to happen to him, and he knew everything that was going to happen to his companions, his friends, his brothers, and Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Yet his loyalty, his understanding of companionship and brotherhood stopped him. His understanding of friendship stopped him. So tonight we want to talk about this idea of friendship. We want to talk about the idea of friendship and relate it to ourselves and learn something from the stance of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and how he did not give in to the pressure that was given to him or that was put on him. So we will ask two questions. The first one, what's the sign of a good friend? When I have a friend, what's the sign of a friend that I should keep in my life? What's the sign of a good friend? Number one. Number two, when it comes to the issue of friendship and the stance of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the issue of peer pressure comes about. So we will ask, what is the biggest example of peer pressure in history and the outcome of that peer pressure? Number one. Number two, on that same topic, how do we counteract and oppose peer pressure? What are the ways that we can counteract peer pressure amongst our peers, friends in school, college, whatever it is, school, wherever it is, work? How do we counteract that pressure that is put on us to act in a certain way? So we will begin, inshallah, with Allah, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Number one, what are the signs of a good friend? When it comes to this question, the ahadith are very, they're very similar, and there's a lot of them when it comes to describing what a good friend is and the friend that you should have with you in your life to be a companion and for you to progress with each other together. The first one that you see the ahadith stress on is that this friend does not create an illusion of perfection in your mind for yourself. Listen to me very closely when I say the words that I'm saying, please. The friend that I have that sits next to me that I see every day should not be a friend that creates an illusion of perfection in myself. So it's a friend that tells me of my faults. It's a friend that when I ask them for advice, they give me the advice that I need to hear, not the advice that I desire or I want to hear. The things that I need to hear to progress, they tell me. And not the things that will create this illusion in my mind that I am the best and I am perfect and anyone that opposes me is wrong. It is said, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, I yearn for the friend that tells me of my faults. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam has no faults. But Imam al-Sadiq is trying to say, this person that sees you in a perspective that you cannot see yourself in and tells you of what they see truthfully and honestly, that's the person you want with you. That's the person you want with you. Because the other person is going to tell you lies and is going to make that illusion for you, and you'll never progress in your life. I know an example of a person that is exactly that, in which they feel as though they are perfect in every way, because the people around them never have the audacity to sit down and say, you have an issue, and this is the issue that you have. They're a narcissist. They speak about others. They degrade others. They look at everyone around them negatively. And they don't see the positives in anyone except themselves. In the beginning, you look at this person. And you see that they're not outwardly saying, I'm the best, or I'm this, or I'm that. They're not outwardly showing their arrogance, their takabbur, that everyone is feeding into their minds. But after a while, they start to openly say it. And nobody says anything. And you find what happens with this person is that they live in their own little world. And everyone that sits with them puts on a face. And when they walk out, everyone looks at each other and saying, did you see that person? Did you see her? Did you see him? They put on a face. The friend that you should sit with should be someone that tells you your negatives, not necessarily always tells you the positives. I can tell you a personal example of that. Here's a personal example. When I first started doing these majalis, You tend to not really understand your negatives and your positives until somebody else tells you, huh? When I go and I ask the brothers and sisters, hey, how did I do? Did you feel like I was saying, did you feel like I was flowing in the majlis, in the lecture? Did you agree with the points? Did you disagree with the points? You find that it's always positive. Perfect, you're doing so well, this, that. Until I asked a brother, one brother, and I said, what did you think of the majlis? And he was like, I felt like your definition here wasn't the best. And I felt like you were jumpy in this instance. I felt like you weren't flowing when you were talking about this issue. I looked at that brother, and subhanAllah, it's as if I had in my heart, it's as if somebody, you feel almost embarrassed, but happy that somebody told you this so you can fix it for later on. And I told that brother, please brother, come to each and every majlis, because I need someone like that to tell me my faults so I can learn and I can get better. Have that person in your life and find that person, because if you do, you will find happiness, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. On this, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, look what he says. If we can pay attention, please. Look what he says. He says, إِنَّمَا سُمِّيَ الصَّدِيقُ صَدِيقًا لِأَنَّهُ يَصْدُقُكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ. He said, as-sadiq means friend and companion in Arabic. The word sadiq comes from the word sadaq, which is truthfulness. It comes from the word truthful. The only reason the companion, the friend, was named sadiq is because the true friend is the one that is truthful with you when you ask them about yourself. They are truthful about what they see in you, and they don't create that illusion for you. في نفسك ومعايبك فمن فعل ذلك فاستنم إليه فإنه الصديق. So if you find such a person, cling on to them, because that's the true friend. That's the friend that you want in your life. That's the friend that's looking for your progress. And that's the friend that's looking for your advancement. And that's the friend that's looking for your growth, inshallah. طيب, that's the first one. The second one is when they sit with you, your friend, when they sit with you, they don't backbite others in your presence. Please listen to this one. For some, it's kind of random. Why are you talking about backbiting specifically? I speak about backbiting specifically because backbiting is the beginning steps to betrayal. It's the first step to betrayal. If I want to betray someone, I can do it by actions. That's the most extreme measure. I can begin by speaking ill about that person. Why do I say the person who speaks ill about someone else in your presence? Because it's said, the person who speaks ill about others to you is the same person that will go and speak ill of you to others. In other words, if they don't have the audacity to stop backbiting in front of you, then they're not going to have the audacity to say, wallah, this person is sacred. They lost the sanctity. They didn't look at the sanctity of everyone around you. Why would they look at your sanctity? Why would they say, wallah, no, this person's off limits? No. And you see, the person who backbites has no limits. Has no limits. Because they're of the type of person that sees themselves, as we said, in that illusion, in that perfect illusion, where they are better than everyone else, and they are allowed to pinpoint the negatives of everyone else. Even if they say, no, I have my problems. No, realistically speaking, if we have the same problem as somebody else, then why am I degrading them for the same problem I have? Let me degrade myself first. Let me look at myself first. Let me look at myself first. And on this, subhanAllah, I remember an instance, something happened to me. I remember I used to go to this certain place every single day, and whether I have homework or whatever it was that I had to do, and I would sit in the same spot or in the same place, general vicinity of that area, and do what I had to do. And there was always two women, older women, that would come and sit in the same spot, and I can hear what they're saying. Every single day, I would sit, I'll be doing my work, and I can hear them. They're always talking about people. Did you hear what she did? Did you hear what she said? Did you hear what he did? The whole time, backbiting, all of them, everyone that they know. They didn't stop at anyone. Even their own sisters, their own siblings, they were backbiting their own siblings. They were talking about their own siblings. Halal. And I would listen to them and listen to them and listen to them. One day, one day I came to that place and there was 3 women. There was a third one, a new woman that was with them. And one of the 2 that was always there got a phone call from her husband. Her husband was coming to pick her up. Okay? So she left. The woman that was always there is now sitting with the newer woman. And she starts talking about the woman that just left. Tayyib. I'm surprised. I'm truly surprised. She starts talking about her husband. She starts talking about her. The whole thing. Tayyib. The other day, the next day comes, or days pass. 2 of the same woman sitting down. And they're talking about the third one that was with them the other day. The person who backbites is not going to stop at anything. The person who backbites is not going to stop at anything. And most of the time, 90% of the time, they're not going to stop at you either. So the person who backbites, that person is a person to be wary of. Be wary of them. Not just because of this, not just because there's potential for betrayal. Put that aside. We have a hadith that say, listen please, we have a hadith that say, when I sit with someone who is backbiting someone else and I'm listening to them, it's the same as me backbiting that person. It's the same as me talking about them. The listener and the speaker are doing the same thing. Who here knows what I'm actually doing when I do ghibah? The reality of the action. Do we know what that is? In the Quran it says, the person who does ghibah, in reality, they are eating the flesh of the person they are doing ghibah towards. Why do they call it backbiting? It's a word. Listen to the word. Backbiting. Biting. You are eating, I am eating the flesh of the person I am talking about. The reality of the action. That's why it's said on the day of judgment, the punishment for the person who backbites is what? Eating the flesh of a dead corpse. That's the punishment. If I'm sitting with that person and that person's my friend, I'm taking all of those dhunub, I'm taking all of those sins. And I'm going to leave you with this point, with one hadith. Listen to this, what this hadith says. Please listen. It is said on the day of judgment, the person will come, the mu'min will come, who thinks they have so much good deeds. They will come to God and they will look at the deeds that they have committed. And they will see a mountain of sins and no good deeds. This person will say, Ya Allah, I used to pray, I used to fast, I used to do all of these good things. Where are they? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, see that brother or that sister that you always used to backbite? Ahmad, do you see that brother that you used to backbite? Ahmad, do you see that brother that you used to hear the backbiting of, but you didn't used to say anything? Yeah. He took all of your good deeds. What about all of these sins, Ya Allah? I have given his sins to you. We switched. We switched. Sallu ala Muhammad. The third and last point, my brothers and sisters, of a good friend is the one that wants you to do good in your life, both religiously and on different spectrums as well, but specifically religiously. The one that wants good for you religiously. The one that is not going to tempt you into sin. The one who is going to keep you away from sin. And subhanAllah, sometimes, this could be a non-Muslim. Yani sometimes the friend that I have doesn't necessarily have to be a Muslim. SubhanAllah, nowadays, it seems like it's almost the opposite. That some of the Muslims that you want to go hang out with are those very people that are drawing us towards haram. But some of the non-Muslims that I want to hang out with are the people that are at least in their actions on the straight path. The person that I should be sitting with, the person that I should call my friend, should be a person that does not bring me towards haram. Should be a person that does not tempt me into do haram. Because in the end, my brothers and sisters, we live with our friends, with our peers for a certain amount of time. And we have a goal in that amount of time. And we see our friends more than our parents, and this is reality. We learn from our friends more than we learn from our parents, and this is reality. This is reality. We take from them more than we take from our parents, to the degree that it's said, Al-mu'min mir'atul mu'min. Your friend is your mirror. Tell me who you are with, who your friend is, and I will tell you who you are. The person who takes me towards haram, my brothers and sisters, that's the person that I want to be around. That's the person that is going to lead me to a place that I don't want to be. I don't want to go. And that's where peer pressure comes into play. See, my brothers and sisters, when it comes to issues of peer pressure, when it comes to these situations, one of the best things to do, and we're going to get into peer pressure in a second, but we already brought it up. One of the best things to do is to avoid the situation from the beginning. Avoid the situation from the beginning. Because when the pressure is on, the pressure is on. And ask me, I felt it. When the pressure is on, it's so hard to say no. But Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Al-wiqaya afdal min al-ilaj. Protecting yourself is better than seeking a cure for the sickness. So that negative friend that I might have, let me reassess. If I did not have that friend in my life, would I be doing the same actions I'm doing? If I did not have that friend in my life, will I be where I am right now religiously? Would I be better? Would I be worse? This is self-judgment. These are questions we must all ask ourselves, inshallah. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. ثانية على حب الزهراء. طيب, the second question. What is the biggest example of peer pressure in history? One of the biggest examples of peer pressure in history. Let me tell you something, guys. The 10 days of Ashura, you can talk about a lot of different topics and relate it back to Karbala. A lot. So many topics. When I'm sitting down, the khutbah are sitting down, we don't know what to talk about because there's so much things that you could link back to Ashura. So much. This one in particular stood out to me. Why? Because Ashura and what happened on the 10th of Muharram is the biggest example of what could potentially happen when a person is put under the pressure of his peers or her peers. The massacre of Ashura is the biggest example of that. Biggest example. How? It is said Imam Hussain alayhi salam on the 10th day is sitting down. One of the companions, he figures it out. And he says, Aba Abdullah, I want to tell you something. He says, Suyufuhum alayk. Qulubuhum ma'ak. Qulubuhum ma'ak. Wa suyufuhum alayk. Their hearts, Aba Abdullah. See these people that are trying to kill you? See these people that have made you go thirsty for 3 days? See these people who want to kill you and all of your children? Their hearts are with you, but their swords are against you. Their hearts want to be on your side, but their swords are against you. This man that wants to be with Aba Abdullah, why is he not on the side of Aba Abdullah? Because he has a whole army around him telling him no, 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 no. He has everyone around him telling him not to go with Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. His peers, his colleagues, his neighbors. The people of Kufa, by the way, the people of Kufa were the very people who killed Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Aba Abdullah al-Hussein sent them letters and they told him, come, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, we will be your army. We will be your supporters. And then they betrayed him. Betrayed him, why? Out of the pressures of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, and each and every one pressuring the other. Pressuring the other. That's why it's said, and you will hear inshallah on the 10th day, when Aba Abdullah al-Hussein was on the plains of Karbala, with arrows pierced in his chest, and wounds from the rocks and the spears. Last moments of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, right before the Shimr comes. Last moments. They were all surrounding him, and they saw that these are the last moments. They wanted one person to finish the job. So they looked at each other. No one wanted to kill Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Their hearts were with him. Their hearts were bloodied, just like his heart was bloody. Their hearts were crying, just like his eyes were crying. Nobody wanted to kill him. So you know what they did? They went to a Christian man and said, kill him. Because the Christian man has no ties. Has no ties with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. So they told the Christian man, come kill him. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein looks at him and he starts to recite verses from the Bible that refer to Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyid al-Zahra. And the Christian man becomes a Muslim and then fights in the name of Abu Abdullah and is slain and he's killed. But look at the pressure. Look at the peer pressure. Look at the people around them and what they caused on the day of Ashura. And then look in today's society and see what peer pressure is causing for our youth. Let me tell you something. There was a brother. I used to go to Arabic school with him. I was young. There was a brother. I used to go to Arabic school with him. This brother, this boy, he used to go on the pulpit and do adhan. And he had a very nice voice, bismillah. And he had the courage to do so. Remember when you were young, you didn't want to do anything. You didn't want to go to Arabic school. He had the courage. He used to go and do adhan on the minbar in front of everyone. And everyone looked up to him. They saw him as something to come in the future. SubhanAllah, he's going to be something big in the future, inshallah. This boy started to mix with people that he shouldn't have mixed with. Fast forward a week before Ashura. Week before, I was on my phone on Instagram. I saw a video of him in a house party with guys and girls. The guys were playing beer pong. Apparently that's a game now. And listen what he was doing. He was making a toast and had everyone doing the whole thing. And he went bottles up and he started drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, and God knows what happened after that. The people around him were known for these things. The people around him brought him to where he was now. Peer pressure is destroying our youth. So we ask, what should we do when we're in that situation, my brothers and sisters? That's the golden question. What should I do when I'm pressured? And I'll answer, inshallah. We will answer that, inshallah, with Allah, salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The first one, my brothers and sisters, is one that we already are kind of alluded to. Do not, try your best, my brothers and sisters, not to put yourself in a pressuring situation. So if you know this group of friends that you have on a Friday night, you know that they're going to be going somewhere. You know that they're going to be doing something. That night, get yourself busy with something else. So that when they text you and tell you, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that, you have an excuse not to go with them. You have something to tell them. Try and get yourself out of the pressuring situation itself. Let's say I'm with them. Let's say we're in a group and they suggest something to me and I feel pressured. All the eyes are on me. I don't know what to do. Here, one thing that I could do, all of us could do, is get ourselves out of the situation temporarily. How and why? I'll tell you why. For example, let's say, let me use the bathroom. Okay, I go to the bathroom, I kind of leave the situation temporarily. What happens here? The pressure subsides and the emotions that are raging go down. And I can think logically about the consequences of the action itself. Imam Ali alayhi salam, look what he says. Please listen. Look what he says. He says, never make a promise in happiness and never make a decision in anger. Why? Because when I am so filled with these emotions, sometimes my logic is clouded. Sometimes my foreseeing is clouded by the emotions that I have. How many of us have been so happy, so happy, that we go to the mall and we drop 200 on a bag or shoes or whatever it is, because we're so happy. Sometimes our actions are clouded by the emotions that we have, by the pressure that's on us. Move away from the situation. Move away from the situation, even temporarily. Think of the consequences. Make a decision, yes or no. And 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, when I have the pressure, when I have that feeling in my heart, That feeling in my throat, oh my God, what do? 9 times out of 10, the answer is I shouldn't do what I think what they're asking me to do. 9 times out of 10. I've made my decision. Now I have to go back to that pressuring situation. But I have the answer to the question they're asking me. I have the answer. Go back to that situation. They'll ask me another time, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Here, my brothers and sisters, is where we have to have the courage to say no. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. I, or anyone here, anyone that sits on this minbar, the Imam, whoever it is, cannot force you to have the courage to stand up to your friends. We cannot force you. Anyone. I can't force you. You can't force me. The courage must come from within. It must come from our understanding. It must come from the knowledge we have of the issue itself. Psychologists say, if you yourself believe in what you are saying, then it will hit home with the person you are talking to. If I say no sternly, believing in what I mean, confident in what I'm saying, the person that's bugging me will stop. The person that's bugging me will stop. What comes from the heart will find its way in the heart of somebody else. Tayyib, let's just say they don't stop. They don't stop. Give them the reason. Give them the reason. They give you masalan, or they give me weed. Try this out. Makes you feel really good. I'm pressured. Tayyib, I left, I came back, made a decision, no. I said, no, please, I don't do such a thing. Why? Give them the reason. I have religious beliefs that say that this is haram, or this is prohibited. I shouldn't be doing such a thing. No, it's okay, just don't worry about it. No, it's okay, just don't worry about it. That's the beginning of the pressure. That is not justification. That is not he's not refuting the argument that I just put forward. Sometimes we tend to think because they argued back, what I just said is dismissed. No. All he is saying is, I don't think that's enough of a reason, in my opinion. That's fine, that's a subjective opinion. It is said, the sociologists say, repeat your argument again. And once they say that, no, it's okay, don't worry about it, repeat it and keep repeating it, because it will hit home that I don't want to do it, I'm stern, I'm strong, and I'm not going to compromise. Be realistic with yourselves, my brothers and sisters. Let me be really realistic with myself. And let me understand why I don't want to do it, and let me be stern and confident and say no. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Other pieces of advice. When you come to this, some social workers say what you should do is find the leader of the pack. I mean, we all know how that works, is that when you have a group of friends, usually there's one that's the most popular, the most good looking, whatever it is, he's like the leader, or she's like the leader of the pack. Whether it's agreed upon or not, you find that there's that one person that seems to have the most control, and they seem to be putting on the most pressure. They say, go to that person and speak to them of your concern, alone. Because us as human beings, we tend to be empowered by the people around us. We tend to be empowered by the people around us. Yet the leader of the pack himself, when he has no one around him, he sees himself not as a superior, but as an equal at that point in time, because there's no one else supporting him. So when he says something that's incorrect, something that's flawed, there's no one to support him. He will see, or she will see, the flaw in the words that he or she is saying. Speak to them on the side, the leader. Say, look, you know what? I don't like the fact that you guys are pressuring me into this, and I don't want to do it. So please just, stop, knock it off. When the leader comes back, and then it's suggested one more time, hey, come do this. You are able to say no confidently, and the leader of the pack, the leader of the group, agrees with you at that point in time and respects your decision. If you have this way of doing things, my brothers and sisters, this confidence, you will find slowly, one of two things will happen. Either you will affect your brothers or your friends, whoever it is, you will affect them in that certain way. Or you will find that if they don't change, they'll at least respect your presence. And I personally have seen this. If I'm with a group of guys that maybe not too religious, if I come and sit with them, they respect my presence at the very most. They put away the music, masalan. If they're playing, cards or whatever, they'll put it away. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it might be. They respect your presence. They respect the fact that you're there. So they won't pressure you into it. So either you change them, or they'll at least respect your presence in front of them. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The last thing that you can do, leave the situation on a positive note. Make your statement and go. Make your point as to why in a positive fashion and go. Do not leave the situation in a negative way, because that situation will come back and it will be even worse the next time. And you might lose friends. Walk away from the situation leaving something positive and having your words stick in the minds of those that you are talking to. Our Imams alayhimus salam were pressured sometimes. Yet our Imams alayhimus salam, they didn't only refuse to do what was haram. They left with some sort of positivity in the mind of the person that was pressuring them. I'll give you an example. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, when he was the Khalifa of the Muslims, he had Baytul Mal. He had Baytul Mal. Baytul Mal was the place where all of the charity, all of the khums, all of the zakat, all of the money would come, and they would put it in that place. At the end of the day, at the end of the week or the month, they will give out the money to the poor people or whoever is in need. Imam Ali alayhi salam was there. His brother Aqil comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Aqil was blind. Aqil was blind, or was at least partially blind. He comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen and he says to him, Ya Ali, give me some money from Baytul Mal. And it's as if Aqil already got his share or was close to, his share. He was asking for some extra money, as we said. He was being pressured. And sometimes if it's somebody that we don't know, it's okay to say no. Sorry. But if it's my own brother, my own cousin, it's hard to say no sometimes. We're pressured into saying yes. We call it ihraj, embarrassment almost. So Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he says to him, okay. He's blind, remember? Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam gets a rod that's heated, a heated rod, glowing red. And he brings it near the hand of Aqil and brings it close. He didn't burn him, but he brings it kind of close for him to feel the heat. So Aqil, he feels the heat. He takes his hand back and he says, what did you just do? He said, Aqil, if you can't bear the heat of this world, what about the heat of the afterlife? I'm going to be giving you something that doesn't belong to you. I'm going to be giving you the money of someone who needs it. He refused and left him on a positive note. Is Aqil going to come back and ask the same question next time? No. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam left a negative situation with positivity. Another one is at the time of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam in al-Mutawakkil. What happened? Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam was in his home, and there were rumors going around that Imam al-Hadi wanted to make an uprising against al-Mutawakkil. Al-Mutawakkil was like the Yazid of that time. So there was rumors going around that the Imam alayhi salam had weapons and things like that he wanted to make an uprising. In the middle of the night, the knights, they barge into the house of Imam al-Hadi looking for the swords, the weapons. They find Imam al-Hadi in his room on the sand, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they didn't find any weapons, they didn't find any contraband, they didn't find anything. They take the Imam and they bring him into the court of al-Mutawakkil. Mutawakkil al-Abbasi, listen, Mutawakkil al-Abbasi, he's sitting down and he has wine in his hand. And the Imam alayhi salam comes in and he sees the Imam, and the Imam looks at him with the wine glass in his hand, and he was drunk. The Mutawakkil gets up out of respect for the Imam, sits him beside him and offers him wine and insists, or at least offers him the wine. The Imam alayhi salam says, my blood and my flesh has never been mixed with wine and will never be mixed with wine. And who is this? This is the Yazid of the time. This is the person that if he wanted to kill the Imam right then and there, he would do it and he wouldn't blink. He wouldn't do it. Or he would do it and he wouldn't blink. No problem. At all. At all. The Imam alayhi salam said no. And then Mutawakkil, he says, Ali al-Hadi, say some poetry. Because back then that was their form of entertainment. Say some poetry. The Imam alayhi salam says, I don't do poetry. He insisted on him. He says, no, say some poetry. The Imam seized the opportunity. So look what he said. He says, باتوا على قلل الأجبال تحرسهم غلب الرجال فلم تنفعهم القلل. He says, people in this world sat on top of the mountains. They had people protecting them. And they were on top of the mountains. That death, thinking that death is never going to come to them. That death is never going to get to them. They're running away from death to the peaks of the earth. And they have everyone surrounding them, running away from death. But did this do anything? No, it didn't change. Until he gets to the last lines. And look what he says. قد طالما أكلوا دهرا وقد شربوا وأصبحوا اليوم بعد الأكل قد أكلوا. He says, they have lived their lives eating and drinking so much. But now, after all of this food, after all of this eating, they are the ones that are being eaten in the dirt. They are the ones that the insects are eating in the dirt. What was he saying? He's saying, Mutawakkil, the actions that you are doing, that you're trying to get me to do, they're going to end at one point, and you're going to be asked about them. And all of this drinking that you are doing, Mutawakkil, you're not only going to be asked about it, but there's going to be something in return. For every sip, there is something that you're going to have to give back at one point in time. The Mutawakkil, in his reign, in his authority, in his mightiness amongst the people, he began to cry and cry and cry and cry from the words of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam. He was pressured, refused, and left on a positive note. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Look at this refusal and what it caused. Look at the refusal and what it caused in Karbala, in Ashura. For the first one to refuse was Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam himself, where he says, I'm not going to run away like a slave. And I'm not going to bow down like a weak man. I'm not going to be in the reign of Yazid. I'm not going to be under his control. If that means my blood is to flow on the plains of Karbala, then so be it. And he taught his brothers the same thing, the same sacrifice, the same refusal, iba, against oppression and tyranny. And so tonight we remember Al-Abbas alayhi salam. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the one that brings pride to all of those who hear his name. But subhanAllah, with the pride comes the tear. And with the honor comes the sorrow for Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. What happened? It said the companions were massacred. The family members were killed. All that was left was Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, the women and the children, and Abu al-Fadl. The children were screaming from their thirst. Al-Atash, Al-Atash, huh? The children were screaming from their thirst. Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Al-Abbas alayhi salam couldn't handle. It's as if he walks in the camp and he hears Al-Atash, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Oh, the thirst. My heart is burning from the thirst. Hear Sukaina say, Ya Hussain, Oh Father Hussain, get me water. Oh Father Hussain, bring me some water for me to give Abdullah al-Radhi. Al-Abbas, hearing this, he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't stand in his position. It was time to get water for the children, even if that meant to put himself in ultimate danger. It said that he stood on a high place of land. He turned his face towards Najaf, towards Amir al-Mu'mineen. He screamed in his loudest voice, أبا يا علي أبا يا علي أبا يا علي هذا اليوم الذي ادخرتني له هل وفيت للسيف حقا. This is the day you saved me for. Have I given the sword its right? Imam al-Hussain heard al-Abbas. His heart broke for him. So he came to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, grabbed his hand and brought him back to the camp. As they were walking back, Sayyida Zainab sees them coming, walking together. So Sayyida Zainab and Kulthum said to one another, sister, when they come, we will hold on to them and we will not let them go anywhere. When the brothers got to the two women, Sayyida Zainab held on to Imam al-Hussain, and Lady Kulthum held on to al-Abbas and sat him down. Each sister held on to her brother. A man from the enemies called out, Ya Hussain, Ya Abbas, أجبنتما وجلستما بقرب النساء. Ya Hussain, Ya Abbas, have you become cowards and decided to sit close to the women? At this point, Al-Abbas stood up and wanted to go fight the man. Imam al-Hussain shouted to Kulthum, who stood up holding Al-Abbas. He shouted, أخي دعي فقد اشتاق الحبيب لحبيبه. Sister, leave him, for it's time for Abbas to go back to his loved ones. Abbas climbed his horse. He took a skin container and filled it with water. 4,000 soldiers surrounded him and started shooting arrows at Al-Abbas. Al-Abbas was not afraid of their number. Al-Abbas attacked. The enemies didn't know, was this Amir al-Mu'mineen that was fighting them, or was it the brother of Aba Abdullah al-Hussain? Al-Abbas reached the Euphrates. He went down to the water. Getting to the water, he wanted to drink. He remembered the Imam and the thirsty children back in the camp. Remembering those cries and screams, he threw the water from his hands and said, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Hussain huni وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا الحسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين تالله ما هذا فعال ديني. O soul, after Hussein you have no word. May you not live after him. Hussein is approaching his death and you drink the cold water. By Allah, this is not part of my religion. Al-Abbas filled the skin container. He climbed back on his horse and began returning to the camp. Many soldiers blocked Al-Abbas from coming back to the camp. Al-Abbas attacked them and killed many of them. He pushed them away and destroyed their blockage. He was saying, لا أرهب الموت إذ الموت زقا حتى أرى في المسليات لقا. He says, I don't fear death at all if death is calling me. Al-Abbas alayhi salam went through some palm trees on the way to get away from the soldiers. It's said at this point, Zaynab bin Ruqad al-Jinani hid behind a palm tree while Hakim ibn Tufail was helping him. They were waiting for Al-Abbas to ride by the trees. Ajarakumullah. As Al-Abbas reared by the first tree, the man on his right saw the arm of Al-Abbas shining, calling him. He gripped his sword, he raised his blade and severed the right hand of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. When Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas felt his hand fall from his arm, he looked towards them. He said to them, Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini inni uhami abadan an dini wa an imamin sadiq اليقين نجل النبي المصطفى الطاهر الأمين. By Allah, if you cut my right hand, I will be certainly continuing my way in this religion, and the religion of Imam, in which I have true certainty towards the son of the pure and trustworthy Prophet of Allah. Abbas grabbed the sword with his left hand. He continued on his way. The only worry that Al-Abbas had was to get the water to the camp. Hakim ibn Tufail hid behind a palm tree as Al-Abbas came by that tree. Al-Hakim raised his sword, aimed for the hand of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, and severed the left hand of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. When he heard his hand fall, he said, Ya nafsu la takhshi min al-kuffari wa abshiri bi rahmat al-jabbari. O soul, don't be afraid of the infidels. You are going to the mercy of Allah. His only worry was to get the water back to the Imam. He began to rush. Many of the soldiers gathered around Al-Abbas. When Umar bin Sa'd saw him rushing, he said to them, throw arrows at the container, for if a drop of water reaches Hussain, none of you will stay alive. Arrows were coming at Al-Abbas like raindrops. An arrow pierced the container. Al-Abbas now stops. The goal that he came to the Euphrates for is gone. An arrow pierced the chest of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Another pierced the eye of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. The blood from the right eye covered the left eye of Abu al-Fadl. Now he has no hands to protect him, no water to return to the family, no eyes to see. It said Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas bent down to take the arrow out of his eye. Doing this, his helmet fell off. The enemy saw the opportunity. One man came from behind Abu al-Fadl. He struck Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, splitting the head of Abu al-Fadl. He fell calling out, "Alayka minni salam ya Aba Abdullah. Adrikni ya akhi." It's the first time he calls Aba Abdullah, my brother. Huh? It's this time he called Aba Abdullah, my brother. Imam al-Hussain rushed towards Al-Abbas. When the Imam heard this, he put his hand on his side and said, "Al-an inkasara dhahri, al-an qallat hilati, al-an shamita bi aduwi." Now my back has been broken, huh? Now the enemies have forsaken me. Now I'm going to die on the plains of Karbala. The Imam rode until he stopped stopped on the way. He picked up something from the ground and kissed it. It was the right hand of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He kept going for another while. He came down. He picked up something from the ground. It was the left hand of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He got to his brother and saw him laying on the sand. No eyes, no hands. And his head split open just like his father Amir al-Mu'mineen. Huh? The blood covered one eye of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. The one eye that was hit with the arrow, he couldn't see anymore. The other eye was covered with blood. But he saw a figure of a man coming to him. He thought it was one of the enemies. So he said to him, "Oh, you who was there, give me a bit of time just to see my brother. Don't kill me now. Just wait on the side. Let Imam al-Hussain come to me. I just want to see him for a last time." The Imam cried and said to him, "I am your brother Abbas, Abbas. I am your brother Abbas. I am your brother Hussain. I came to you in your last moments, Ya Abbas." The Imam sat by his brother inside. He put the head of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas in his lap. Feeling this, al-Abbas moved his head from the lap of the Imam. The Imam did it one more time. Al-Abbas moved his head. For the third time, the Imam put al-Abbas in his lap. He moved his head one more time. Imam al-Hussain said, "Brother Abbas, why are you doing this? I'm putting your head in my lap, but you keep moving it away." Look what he says to him. He says to him, "Brother, O light of my eyes, how can I not do this? And at the moment you've come to me and taken my head, but after a while, who will raise your head off the sand, Ya Aba Abdullah? Who will wipe the sand off of your face, Ya Aba Abdullah? I'm going to answer you, Ya Aba al-Fadl. The one who picked up the head of Aba Abdullah was Shibr ibn al-Jawshan." Imam al-Hussain bent down to carry Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Al-Abbas opened one eye and he looked at him. He saw that he was trying to get carried, huh? So he said to him, "Where do you want to take me, brother?" The Imam said to him, "Back to the camp." Al-Abbas alayhi salam said, "Brother, by the right of Rasulullah on you, don't carry me back. Leave me where I am." The Imam asked why. He replied that there were two reasons. One of them is that he promised Sukaina water, but he doesn't have the water for Sukaina. And another one he said, "I am ashamed of her." And another one he said, "And death has come to me, and I must die in this place." Aba Abdullah cried. He said to him, "May Allah reward you greatly." The Imam came back to the camp and he saw that the enemies came closer to the camp. He screamed, "Ama min mughithun yughithuna, ama min mujirun yujiruna." Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone who will protect us? The Imam got to the camp, and who was the first person he saw? It was his daughter Sukaina. And she said to him, "Father, did my uncle Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas get us some water?" So the Imam replied to her, "عظم الله لك الأجر يا سكينة بحبك العباس." Sukaina Abbas is gone. Sukaina Abbas is gone. Hearing this, Sukaina screamed and cried, "Wa Abbasa wa Sayyida." إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب سينقلبون. We ask you, Ya Allah, by the right of Al-Abbas, accept this little from us, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Accept this majlis from us. Forgive us for our sins. Bring us closer to you, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Give us success in these nights. Give us success in serving you, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Give us sincerity in serving you, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, make our parents proud of us. Make our Imam proud of us. Cure the sick, heal the wounded, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I need you guys to help me, please, as much as you can. Allahumma kun li walika عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا ودليلا وعينا يا الله وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.